Dilip Thakore, editor of EducationWorld.
Good morning, I'm Summiya Yasmeen, managing editor.
Well, here it is, part 2 of the EducationWorld India School Rankings 2022-23. Last month we gave you part 1 of the rankings, and now part 2, which read together is the most comprehensive school ranking survey anywhere worldwide. It's a thing to be proud about.
Yes.
That India has produced this, but the nationwide silence doesn't seem to indicate much appreciation. Anyway.
So just to put this in perspective, when we say the largest and most comprehensive rating and ranking survey worldwide, the EducationWorld India School Ranking Survey 2022-23 rates and ranks 4,000 of India's top ranked schools across 14 parameters of education excellence in a mind-boggling 392 cities and towns countrywide. So in part 1, that's the September issue, we had presented to you league tables of co-ed day schools, girls' day, boys' day schools and day-cumboarding schools and vintage legacy schools in these categories.
Which is a new category,
yes.
Vintage new legacy schools, based on the feedback that we got, that very old schools should not be compared with
yes.
new
so schools with 90 years and above vintage have been rated and ranked separately. So now in the October issue, which is the part 2 of the EducationWorld India School Rankings, we present to you all league tables of boarding schools, which includes co-ed, boys and all girls, international, which includes international day, day-cumboarding and residential, government schools, which again have been categorized as day schools, boarding schools, budget, top 30 budget private schools, special needs school, philanthropic schools, as well as vintage legacy schools in all these categories.
That's a long list, and we might tell our readers, our listeners, that we, contrary to most rankings, to all rankings, for the first time we are ranking government schools also.
Yes.
Because we believe that the whole ecosystem of K-12 education, or primary, secondary education, has to be raised. And for that to happen, and for the benefits of education to spread countrywide to all children, government schools also have to improve. So our league tables are an inspiration for government and a roadmap perhaps for government schools to also upgrade and improve.
Yes, Dilip, and we must also emphasize that unlike most some league tables which are done abroad, especially in the UK, they all based on only one parameter, which is the parameter of academic outcomes.
Yes.
But in education world, we believe in holistic education. So all schools have been assessed across 14 parameters, which include competence of teachers, academic reputation, sports education, co-curricular education, leadership, mental and emotional well-being services, community services, etc.
Which is what all schools should provide to their children, so that they grow up in an integrated and holistic fashion.
Yes. So, like we said that, most comprehensive survey, we have tables, not just national tables, we have state tables, we have city tables, we have schools rated and ranked according to their parameters of excellence. So it's very in-depth and comprehensive. Highly recommend that you read them, both institutions as well as a mine of information for parents.
Yes, and if anybody wants to read this, we have a special website for these 2 volumes.
Yes, which you
can go to our website
and click and buy them.
And purchase them.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we can't give them away free because, regrettably, we are also a business organization. Okay.
Okay. So not just rankings. In the October issue, we also have a very high quality editorial content, Dilip, starting with our editorials. And this time, I think in our editorials, we talk about why
civic reform.
Yes,
right?
Civic reform is very important,
particularly in Bangalore.
Yes.
Which is our headquarters.
Yes, especially the 74th Amendment.
Yes, and we say that, anyway, you can read about it.
Yeah.
And the second thing is our second editorial warns against the danger of parochialism and subnationalism, which is becoming a political scoring point.
Yes. And we talk about in our education news, again, very interesting news from around the country, starting from Delhi, where we talk about the AAP government, which has launched an online school, Dilip, for any and everyone across the country, where they promise, high quality online education, which many are seeing as
based on the Delhi model.
yes, based on the Delhi model, which many are seeing as posing a direct competition to NIOS.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's important to tell also our viewers that the Delhi state government schools were ranked in the top 10. 5 were Delhi among
yes,
state government
yeah.
schools. The 5 were from the Delhi state.
Absolutely.
So they have made impressive strides in
Yeah.
public education.
Yes. And then in our education news section from Maharashtra, we talk about a teacher strike, Zilla Parishad teachers who've been agitating now for the past 2 months over, issues
Given too
about
many
their-
duties
yes,
to perform apart from teaching.
Yes. And in Karnataka, about a proposal to set up new universities. So we examine this and say new universities when the existent universities
Are anemic.
exactly and need immediate funds infusion, faculty shortages, etc. So we're questioning the logic of new universities.
Yes.
And of course, in West Bengal, the persistent, non-ending saga of the TET teacher recruitment scams and what's happening with the Calcutta High Court judgments and how the TMC government is responding to this crisis, all very interesting and informative education news.
And also for the first time, after a long time, we're running education news from Uttar Pradesh, where a lot of initiatives have been proclaimed. Let's see if they actually implement.
And we have a very insightful column from Dr. Neeraj Kaushal, a professor from Columbia University, who talks about the very sad and unfortunate decline of women's labor force participation and why it's declining in India and what can be done about it.
Yes, it's a disturbing trend.
Yes, and we also have to end with Dilip, very two interesting book reviews.
Well, after that, of course, we have our rankings.
Yes, which we already spoke about.
Yeah, which stretch on for like some 100 pages.
Over 100 pages.
100 pages. All types of league tables. Too numerous to detail here. But then we also have our, as you said, our book reviews.
And we have our book review section. Very
interesting Raj vignette.
Yes, on John Lang.
Yes, who was a chronicler during the Raj, and he talked about the Epicureanism of our British masters in those days.
Yes.
And where they spent very little time on actual governance, but and spent a lot of time in indulging themselves.
And then the second book review is on Thakore, Rabindranath Tagore's Rural Reconstruction Initiative in West Bengal. Again, both very interesting.
Yeah, well, Tagore, like Gandhiji, believed that you have to first begin our development initiatives in the village rather than the cities. And he actually established several schools to do that, but nothing much has been heard about since.
Yeah. So that's the Education World October issue. Please read it, like we said. Highly informative and wealth of information in our education.
It's mandatory reading if you're interested in the relative merits of schools, or India's best 4,000 schools and their relative merits.
Yes. And before we go, in ParentsWorld, again a very timely and relevant story which says don't overload children with co-curricular activities. The trend, especially after the pandemic, Dilip, is for parents to make up for the pandemic loss, where extracurricular activities literally came to a standstill, is to cram children's daily schedules with a whole lot of extracurricular activities when the day is already full with school and tuition. We tell you how to strike this very important balance so that children have the energy, are not stressed out, and are able to cope with their study as well as extracurricular activities.
Yes, very interesting. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.